welcome back to another episode of the North Star Takes podcast. I'm Bailey Paulicki. He's Jacob Liberta. You can find all our videos here on our YouTube channel, so please hit that subscribe button as we are a Minnesota sports podcast, and we're going to be talking about the hottest team in Minnesota, surprisingly, just given their history. The Minnesota Timberwolves, hottest team in the NBA since the All-Star break, Liberta. They have a 10-2 record, third on offense, and their defense has picked back up here towards the end of the season as they're second in defense over their last 12 games since the All-Star break. I mean, they've had a pretty easy schedule. They've beaten up on some pretty bad teams. Portland, the Thunder, the Lakers, they just smoked as well. So, I mean, granted, they still have LeBron, but that Lakers team is rough. But regardless, the Timberwolves have taken care of business. They let one slip against the Magic, but then they come back and beat the Heat in Miami. So, super impressive overall. You're getting, MVP level type play out of Cat. D'Lo's just a steady, he's really just been a great playmaker, great leader. Ant is starting to reemerge a little bit, coming back from this knee injury. You're starting to see more pep in his step. Patrick Beverley is just an absolute dog. They lost McDaniels with the ankle sprain. He's probably out for the rest of the regular season for sure. But, where do you want to start, Liberta? There's so much positivity to talk about this Wolves team, and it just seems like everything's clicking at the right time.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things we could pump up here, and it's great that we're to this point in the season where we have 11 games left and we're just firing on all cylinders. Feel like we can play with anybody in any given night. I know it's certainly easy to get really pumped up and excited when we're playing all these bad teams like we've been in the last 8 outside of the Heat. Yep. So I think you got to pump the brakes a little bit, but at the same time, it's like taking care of business, doing what we're supposed to do every night. And literally, I swear we're never going to score less than 120 the rest of the season. The offense is just humming. These guys, everybody can score. Anybody on any given night can score 20, it feels like. So yeah. I think that's a really added benefit to this team and our ability to basically be able to keep up in a track meet with any team, or we can even play really in a grinder kind of a game just because we force a lot of turnovers. So we can create points in transition even if the half-court offense isn't really showing up. So yep. There's a lot to like here, and I think it all starts with Karl-Anthony Towns, him being a borderline MVP candidate now, it feels like, and he's just been insane. Obviously, he had the 60-point nights against the Spurs, which is huge, but really every night he's just been steady. I know he still has his same old games here and there where he gets into it with the refs and lets it get in his head and he gets out of control, but still for the most part, he's played great. He's, I think, pushing top 10 players in the league this year at least. So I'm really excited where this is going. I just hope this doesn't fall off a cliff once we actually get to the playoffs. I would like to find our way out of this play-in scenario, but at this point, it feels like we're not going to, because even though the Wolves have been fantastic over the last 20 games or something, the next best teams after us, or the teams in front of us, have been just as good. So it's we're not gaining any ground right now, which is really frustrating, but at the same time, it just happens. So I think we're going to end up having to win a play-in game here, and that kind of concerns me, playing a Clippers team that's going to get their stars back, and they'll be at full strength. So it's in a winner-take-all, anything can happen. But if we can make it out of that game, then, all bets are off. Get us in a series, and who knows? You never know. It'll be at least good to get this whole team really playoff experience, because nobody has that much. Cat and D'Lo have each played in a series apiece or something. Then Pat Bev definitely has quite a bit of it because he makes playoffs every year. But as far as everybody else, it's very lacking. So we gotta build into something for beyond this year too. So I'm excited where this is going.
Yeah, I share that same concern with you about once it comes to playoff time, it's just a whole nother animal. Will this team be able to really ratchet up the intensity even more? And I think having a Pat Bev will help with that. I think he'll kind of, show him the reins.
Yes, get him in the right headspace.
My thing, though, is it's starting to look like Memphis might get that 2 seed. Steph Curry got hurt.
Yep.
He's out indefinitely with a foot injury. So if Golden State ends up with that 3 seed, I'm almost okay with getting the 7. But yeah, you have to win that first play-in game. You're hosting the Clippers at home.
Yep.
You mentioned they might be healthy. I don't know if Kawhi is expected back at all this year, but I know they've been talking maybe Paul George will be back at some point here. But it's getting close to the end of the season. They still haven't come back. So, if you can win that game against the Clippers, then all of a sudden you're in a 7-game series with the Memphis Grizzlies, who is easily your best matchup out of anyone in the top 4 seeds.
100%.
So I think
unless Curry is out for the Warriors, if that's bleeding into the playoffs, I think we can definitely win against them when Curry's out.
For sure. And I kind of have a feeling he'll be back for the playoffs, but it's impossible to know, I guess. But Yeah, I think I'd rather play the Grizzlies, but if Steph is out, definitely can make a case for the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, overall, it'd be nice to just get the 6th seed and not have to worry about the play-in, like you mentioned.
Sure. Yes.
But I think matchup-wise, you might be able to play it a little better if you just win that first play-in game, get the 7. But hopefully, we don't have to play the Lakers in a play-in scenario after we just trash talked the crap out of them.
That usually comes back to bite you. So I hope we don't find ourselves in that scenario.
Pat Bev running around plugging his nose and Cat like looking for the wind or something on Russ's air ball. And
yes,
I mean, I love that the Wolves are showing that though. Like I love that they have the confidence, the swagger, the cockiness, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
it's completely different from any other Wolves team we've really grown up watching. So, I think it's all steps in the right direction. Hopefully the main thing is just I hope there's just not a dud in the playoffs. I hope they don't lose in 5 games or whatever, and then it's done. Because
I know.
How do you come back next season then too? Like we kind of talked about it a little bit last night when we were watching the game together. It's like the West isn't going to get any worse next season. Denver's going to get Jamal Murray back. Dallas will probably add someone in the offseason. The only team that really might go down is if Donovan Mitchell ends up wanting out of Utah.
Yes.
But like Clippers will come back next year with a healthy squad. The Lakers, I mean, who knows what moves they'll make in the offseason. I'm sure they'll get rid of a ton of guys, but
I don't know what they're going to do to fill that up though.
Right. Like I'm sure the Wolves will easily still be a top 10 team in the West next season.
Yes.
Barring some insane moves by like Portland or something. But other than that, like I don't know.
Nothing's guaranteed. Got to go through it all again.
Exactly. So that's what makes it tough. Is it's like you almost want to take advantage of this year, but the Wolves aren't ready to make that jump yet either. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are. Maybe over this last half of the season when they've been playing so well, maybe I guess this final stretch of games will really tell us what we need to know.
Yes, 100%. And also the lurking X factor here is definitely Anthony Edwards' play, because if he plays great, I mean, he can carry us even when D'Lo and Cat have kind of down nights. Like Cat got in foul trouble against the Lakers, and then D'Lo certainly wasn't shooting the ball well, but then Ant was just sensational, so we were still able to win by 20 in the end. So realistically, I think that's a huge thing for this team and his continued involvement. If he actually really grows into being a top 10 player in this league or something like that. Or I know some people are higher on him than that, being top 5, or like Jackson says, best player in the league in 5 years. But if Ant really does get that good, then this team's on a whole nother level. Then you're talking a bona fide top 4 team in the West, I would say. And you're at least getting home court in the first round and making some noise. And who knows, maybe then you're legitimately in a championship conversation.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting to see. I mean, I'll be curious how they come out of this stretch. Playing the Bucks, they have the Mavs twice, which is just 2 massive games.
Really
the Suns at home, the best team in the NBA minus Chris Paul. Like that could be a really good win. So there's definitely some challenges coming up, but I think this team's ready for them. And like you said, if Ant can get rolling and show how talented he truly is, the way Cat's playing, D'Lo's just kind of got to sit back and just do his thing. Like. Against the Lakers, he took some really forced shots, I felt like. But other than that, he's really played well lately. And I think he's really become one of the best passers in the NBA. He's been a great playmaker.
Yes.
So if this Wolves team can kind of just get healthy, I know Vando's been banged up. Nas Reed's banged up. If they can just get some of these guys healthy, hopefully McDaniels is back for the playoffs. Maybe something can happen. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. I think there's no better time to play a stretch of games against a bunch of good teams, really, when we're as high as can be, really, having the best record since the All-Star break and just humming along, really. I think there's no better time to really see what we're made of here going into the playoffs, kind of get ready for that kind of environment, that kind of atmosphere against the best teams in the league. So I'm pretty excited.
Me too. And it's just so nice to have a good NBA team again. It's like,
yes, I know.
I mean,
it just never happens here.
We're not used to the feeling. So I think, Wolves fans need to enjoy this because, you can't take anything for granted with this Wolves team. You don't know if they'll be able to keep it up, for years on end here. So,
exactly.
Just enjoy the ride, basically. But do you have
any
other
playoffs are going to be fun? That's all I'm going to say.
Like, I was thinking about that too. Like, if Golden State's the 3 and the Nuggets are the 6, that's going to be an amazing series. Jokic versus Steph, like, oh my God.
No.
So, crazy stuff coming up. But that's going to do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. Please be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. Feel free to follow us on both Twitter and Instagram and leave your comments below. What are your thoughts on Timberwolves just on a tear since the All-Star break? Do you think they're going to be able to push into that top 6? They're inching closer, but it's just they're not quite getting there.
Yes.
Or are you fine with them maybe getting the 7 seed and playing the Grizzlies potentially? So let us know your thoughts below. And until next time, thanks for watching.